What's up, everybody? It's Alistair. I hope you're doing well, and we're back on Headspace reviewing Andor Episode 3 Reckoning. And the first thing I wanted to point out, while it had me start thinking about the structure of the show and how it was being presented, and that I guess you could even notice it. The first episode was showing our investment in Cassian, and then the second one was a little with the first one and showing the people that were there for Cassian. And the third one, I was like, oh, it's got to be how he takes action or the action. And I liked that because it felt like a good-natured outing with someone, if that makes sense, but you're just watching Andor, and Cassian's doing about what anyone would do, if they had something to do. But in this situation, there's gonna be a dire consequence because there was something he had to do in a split second. You could probably de-escalate this a little bit to extract or infer a little bit of what Cassian would be doing. You learn all of his basic routines, pretty much. And it's just really relatable. As an audience member, I want to help him out. It's I'll let you borrow some money from me to pay off that one guy. Yeah, owe me money, so I could at least have a reason to talk to you. I'm really enjoying Cassian as a character, and Diego Luna by extension. Whatever he brought as an actor to the character really works. He seems like he would be a pretty cool neighbor. Whatever Cassian does and the show, it almost you can take to yourself and add and build to yourself. I mean, you're great, you're perfect, but you can put some more stuff on there just because you want to. It's yeah, I'm gonna do that too. I don't know why he translates so well like that for me, but I believe in Cassian at this point. And I think that's why Bix and Marva and even Tim are doing what they're doing. And Luthen, to add to the list at the end of this episode. Oh yeah, and Brasso. Can't forget about Brasso. Brasso seems like he looks forward to seeing Cassian, and he was even looking for him when he was at the bar, and seems to be the only one that he cares about paying back. This episode, there's a lot of things to see if you with Cassian's journey here. They show about the reason he's on Ferrix, and they have him in that yellow jumper. And if you were here for the color significance in Andor, red was stability, orange was flexibility, and green was innovation. And it looks like we could put yellow down for care, and a little maybe on the nose caution, maybe even curiosity, really. But the most notable thing while I'm seeing the yellow on the screen is when Marva inoculates him and takes him with him. So it's probably definitely care. But if I say that alone, without the explanation, it kind of sounds like caution. But it's really more just a film theme, and there's not as much lighting change. That's why I think there's less deep thought in this episode, and obviously there's all of this happening anyway for me to say it's just the action episode. He says bye to Brasso after the flashback, saying bye knowing that he's at least gonna leave, even though he might not pay him back. Cassian's not really certain about anything, but he knows he's gonna leave. So he's at least doing all those little courtesy moves. And then there's Luthen with his commuter that knows that he's not like normally on that commute. He's just like, yeah, I know it's your first time. I'm always on this flying bus. Actually, I think it's like a flying streetcar, a trolley. That's something I want to notice later, at least. Like, just like the stranger talking to strangers somewhere. Obviously, very comfortable and familiar with the whole wherever you are. Luthen finds Bix, and Bix warns Luthen about some maybe treachery. And it's crazy how no nonsense he is, because that's like all that was mentioned, and later, like, he was like super ready. Maybe it was just from seeing the reports and stuff, but the HQ is coming and in town. Looks like everyone this episode is like very well thought out. And we get to see who's thinking outdoes the others in this situation. There's the ones that seed free roaming, and there's the other ones that bring out a clustering of results. Just from the fact that Cassian like went by and be like, oh yeah, like Marva's gonna have your money. Braxo and his crew like weighs down the transport later when they send back that one guy after the thing with Bix in the alley happens. No one's even really there afterwards to like reprimand Cyril about what pretty much Chief Hain was saying. You just see it on his face later. Like, I guess that's like kind of the thing about thinking you cornered someone, like strategy wise. Because like in the middle of Cassian trying to barter for the Star Path unit, a combination of Luthen and Cassian handle themselves like in a way that overwhelms like all these security HQ people, and like anything that one of them couldn't have done, like the other like compensates for it, and it's like an escape for an escape. Luthen gets him out of the warehouse, and Cassian gets him to the ship. As soon as they can track Cassian, the security HQ, and the struggle with Cassian and Luthen, it almost seems like a sports match, exchanging like lobbies and lobs. And eventually the security HQ just can't keep up. And they've repeated history again. Like, lost those 3 guys at the land speeder that they rigged to like drive into the opening and explode. It's like, man, they both came ready, but they were 2 different readies. And it eventually fell out to the ones ready to react instead of the ones ready to know. I'm sure Andromeda would be proud. So probably within the hour Luthen appears, he's gone. Everyone's not quite sure what's in the wake of this right now. Through the minute-by-minute depiction, there's shadiness, camaraderie, betrayal, fear, and a nice little monologue for the show's title. No one could have hoped for this, but you got what you gave in this episode. But all the scenes aren't really like as tense as it could be. What they all really wanted to come out eventually finally came out, but it was very smooth and easy. there's a belief where you're neither blending or bleeding the world for a certain emotion. It may be where the phrase bleeding hearts come from, almost as if they all meditated on it and thought of the situation that they would finally get what they wanted to feel for. Sometimes you lock it in and you want some more of it. Sometimes it's a sequence and you're gonna head to another kind of expression. All of this is on display for Bix and Tim first, when I've noticed. Maybe for Bix, all this tragedy was set up for her, and somehow it was all around Tim. Sometimes tragedies, it's multiple people and then something of individual. Like she had a little itch. She's like, "What did you do?" And then eventually it's no. And for Tim, it's starting with a very mixed but very haunting look away and down, which was many things. And sometimes it's like this same look. It's like, I did something for you. I did what was expected. And then in the alley, it's like, that's not what I wanted. It completes this lifelong dialogue that each of them probably had multiple times, maybe with looks, maybe with some body language, but they received and gave, and somewhere something was shaken out, or there wasn't sufficient enough of stimuli to feed this little pang they had, but they waited, maybe patiently, until it could be finally let out. And then we go over to Marva. Same situation, trying to feed the beast, some say. They're mostly just talking about eating or other stuff, huh? She does the many-faced "you can't," and eventually "this is what happens. That's what you get if you do this," and "you should have listened." And it's almost like a classic, even though I really can't list all these incredible moments that are only so long, that come from this and like other great entertainment venues. I'm sure in private, there are big figures out there in the Star Wars universe, or maybe even the actual universe, that say and do about the same things that she does. Very situationally. It's very right there, and it shows that she's never protested against anything before. That's why it almost seems like most of the people around her protest just because, like, it's available and she doesn't do it. It's a very interesting way of leadership, so I'm glad they have it in there for it to be potentially analyzed over and over. And we have Cyril. His is, this is what I want. This is what I want. Like, it was probably his favorite phrase when he was little. And his later, the word reprisal comes to mind. And it almost doesn't seem like an emotion, but if you look it up, it says it's an act of retaliation. And in his moments, he smiles and He's devastated. Looks like his second bit of expression he needed to act out was an answer he had all along for himself. It was probably many small moments just for him needing the correct response for him, to him. That kind that seems to fester a little bit, but maybe in the reverse order though. It's like just being like, oh no, and then joking it off or something like that. And Cassian's doing something else other than this rule 2. He was doing it a little bit before, but it looks like his will be ongoing, and he's gonna do almost everything else at lots of different times that he doesn't need to be. Almost as if he's like expressing something for the literal area or someone around him. Like, that might be my answer right there of why he seemed to translate it emotionally like this for me. But he makes it to Luthen's ship. Luthen's wonderful, wonderful ship. And he lifts off for other shores. And that's the episode. The only thing I really didn't touch on is a little bit more of the flashbacks, but I just wanted to wait until later to comment on how nice B looked and how I wanted to know the story there. And he's almost bringing up that little, not even really joke about how no one's really interested in what happens to the droids. So C-3PO walked so B can run. Or skid along, really. I guess C-3PO did even less than that sometimes. Almost a episodic flashback to Chewie there. But yeah, that's what I had for you this time. Have a good day, good night, good morning. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave some comments if you want to share your thoughts. And that was Headspace. Like, this, did his little tread break or something? And like, there's another bee or something? Oh my goodness. But hey, you look good. And it shows.